please. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. I don't see any changes to the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as posted.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. First item on the agenda is our indigent business.
Chantal Ulu with Indigent Services. The first case that I have for you this morning is case number 20220063. This is an application submitted for cremation expenses through Manning Wheatley Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The applicant is a 67-year-old male applying for cremation expenses for his 34-year-old daughter. She was not a veteran, and both are considered Bannock County residents. With the information that we did obtain, it does appear that the deceased does meet criteria to be eligible for assistance through the indigent program. Bannock County is the last resource for payment of these final expenses, and the applicant is aware of reimbursement and has agreed to a $25 a month repayment plan upon approval of this application. The next case that I have for you is case number 20220064. It's an application for cremation expenses through Wilkes Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. The application was submitted by the funeral home, and all of the information that we did obtain was from the funeral home as well as the state's website. The deceased was a 70-year-old male. He resided by himself, is a Bannock County resident, is not a veteran. With the information that we did obtain, it does appear that the deceased meets criteria to be eligible for assistance. Bannock County is the last resource for payment of this request, and there is no responsible party available for reimbursement of this request at this time.
Mr. Chair, on case number 202-20063 and 202-20064, I make a motion that we approve those cases as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously.
The next case that I have for you is case number 2022-0062. It's an application for cremation expenses through Manning Wheatley Funeral Home in the amount of $1,200. Our recommendation is denial of this application pursuant to Idaho Code 313403. As it appears that the deceased did have the resources available from whatsoever source to cover the expenses of the cremation at the time of their death. So Bannock County would not be considered the last resource for payment of that request at this time. And for case numbers 20150057, 150190, 150312, 160445, 160064, 160165, and 160188. It's a recommendation of these applications pursuant to Idaho Code 31350225. These cases were previously placed in suspension. However, we are unable to determine if Bannock County is a last resource for payment of these requests. So our recommendation is a denial of those applications at this time.
Mr. Chair, on cases 202-20062, 2015-0057, 2015-0190, 2015-0312, 201-60045, 201-60064, 201-60165, and 201-60188. I make a motion that we deny them as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, we need to go into Board of Ambulance.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we enter into the Board of Ambulance.
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, Chief.
Good morning, everyone.
Back-to-back days.
Back again. I'm here before you this morning to follow up on our naloxone leave behind grant application that we submitted with the Department of Health and Welfare. We were awarded the grant, and I'm just before you today to ask for a signature on that grant acceptance.
Any questions, concerns?
No.
A motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve signature on the what is it, the Knox-Lane sub-grant? Is that the Knox-Lane leave behind grant?
We have a motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we exit the board of ambulance.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have quarterly jail inspection. We went out last week and looked at the jail. We've already signed it. All we have to do is accept it on our agenda, on the record.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the quarterly jail inspection as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have a proclamation. And I'm going to invite you to read it.
Oh, why, thank you. So this proclamation is for World Elder Abuse Awareness, and whereas older adults deserve to be treated with respect and dignity to enable them to serve as leaders, mentors, volunteers, and vital participating members of our communities, and whereas in 2006, the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse, in support of the United Nations International Plan of Action, proclaimed today to recognize the significance of elder abuse as a public health and human rights issue. And whereas 2022 marks the 16th annual Elder Abuse Awareness Day, its recognition will promote a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older adults. And whereas the National Center of Elder Abuse, NCEA, Southeast Idaho Council of Governments, CCOG, the Area Agency on Aging, AAA, and the Bannock County Commissioners recognize the importance of taking action to raise awareness to prevent and address elder abuse. And whereas our population lives longer, we are presented with an opportunity to think about our collective needs and future as a nation. And whereas ageism and social isolation are major causes of elder abuse in the United States, and whereas recognizing that it is up to all of us to ensure that proper social structures exist so people can retain community and social connections, reducing the likelihood of abuse. Whereas preventing abuse of older adults through maintaining and improving social supports like senior centers, human services, and transportation will allow everyone to continue to live as independently as possible and continue to live as independently as possible and contribute to the life and vibrancy of our communities. Now, therefore, we, the Bannock County Commissioners, Ernie Moser, Jeff Huff, Terrell N. Tubby, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2022 as World Elder Abuse Awareness in Bannock County, Idaho. We ask all citizens to join us in our commitment to recognize and celebrate older adults and their ongoing contributions to the success and vitality of our county. That last one. In witness whereof, we Bannock County Commissioners, Moser, Huff, and Tubby, do hereby set our hands on this 14th day of June in the year 2022.
And we'll take just a minute here, and we'll take some pictures. Emma just walked in.
You guys want to stay up there so you can have the seal behind you? Very good.
I'll take that off.
Oh, Jeff, do you want to push that thing out a little bit more?
Easier said than done.
Yep. Okay, perfect. 1, 2. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Let's have a motion to accept the proclamation.
Mr. Chairman, I move to accept proclamation as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right, Adam.
Good morning. Adam McKinney, Emergency Communications. This morning I'm seeking a signature on an MOU between us and Power County for the Vesta services that we currently provide to them. We simply did not have an MOU with them. This MOU is based on the MOU that Bonneville County and Nez Perce counties use for their version of what we're doing with being a hub site for 911 communications. This is just our side of it. We're just trying to shore this up with Power County before we move forward with any other counties. And this MOU will be the template for the one that we'd use with the other counties as well. And I did have legal run it through legal to make sure that they were good with the verbiage. So that's it. Any questions on it?
Nope, I'm good. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the MOU as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Carrie,
Carrie, Chief Deputy Clerk. I previously came before the board to request $100 in petty cash for our bonds and fines department. When the Supreme Court was here helping us with training, they made a recommendation that we increase that amount to $200 just due to the amount of funds going through that office every day. So I'm just here to request an additional $100 for a total of $200 for petty cash in the bonds and fines department.
I'm assuming that the $100 you've had has been tracked and everything's been.
We have
well.
a login, a petty cash log that's kept in the safe with petty cash. There's always 2 people that are in and out of it every time, so.
They follow all of our internal control procedures.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the Chief Deputy Clerk's request as presented.
have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 And that money's not used for reimbursements, it's just to make change.
Yeah.
Change box.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm surprised I only had $100 in there, to tell you the truth.
It's a work in progress.
Right.
It's like, man, yeah. Yeah. Understood.
We're actually a few minutes early for Ryan, so we'll go ahead and move to our resolutions. Which we got a bunch of them. So in the matter of resolutions, we have resolution number 2022-37. This is adopting ordinance 2022-03, amendment number 5 to subdivision ordinance 1997-4. We have Bannock County, well, let's do resolutions. Resolution number 2022-38 in the matter of adopting ordinance 2022-04, amending text to number 61 to zoning ordinance 1998-1. Resolution number 2022-39, approving May 2022 alcohol licenses. Resolution number 2022-40, in the matter of approving tax cancellation request. Resolution number 2022-41, matter of approving May 2022 salaries. Resolution number 22-42, in the matter of setting annual household and commercial landfill use fees. Resolution 2022-43, matter of accepting the construction bond for the Cliffs subdivision. And ordinance number 2022-04. This is amending number 61 to Bannock County zoning ordinance 1998-1 and county ordinance number 2022-03, amending number 5 to Bannock County subdivision ordinance 1997-4.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the ordinances and resolutions as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 You know, one of those days I was just going to divide the question just for fun, just so you had to vote on every single one of them.
We do it.
Would you accept a friendly amendment?
Actually, division of the question is a procedural. It's not even a, once it's called, it can't be stopped. It's just I don't like them. I want them all separated, and it's
Be read in full.
has to be. Yep.
You and Priscilla Giddings.
Good old Heather. Good old Heather. Man, you should read all the responses on Facebook about the Northern Idaho issue right now. I really can't believe that I have members of my own party that are actually defending that up there.
All right. We're within our time limit now, Ryan. You're up.
Okay. And I do apologize. I thought for some reason I was going to report on Thursday. So I can give you a couple highlights. But I was preparing for Thursday for some reason.
Okay.
So but just kind of as a highlight, so far in this fiscal year, our department has addressed, I've created a little case management spreadsheet, and
So what today is the gym plan?
oh, the gem plan thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good, okay.
Because
Much easier. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're on the
Thank you for
schedule for Thursday
clarification.
for the other. This is just the gym plan.
Okay.
Looking
Ryan
for
got all
something.
excited right there for a minute.
I did. You had me nervous. The gem plan, I've worked with Mutual Insurance, who administers it, and throughout Idaho, the way they do their billing has changed a bit where, and this actually in practice has been the way we've been doing this for months now, is rather than going from Blue Cross to Gem Plan to us, or Blue Cross to Gem Plan to us, now we're just going from us directly to Blue Cross with our billing.
It's
And-
the change we made in like January.
Right, and this amendment is catching up with the change that was made back then. So it's just the order of billing, basically, of how it's an administrative change. But it needs your signature on it. I've reviewed it. I've had Brian look over it as well, and I think we've had all our questions answered and we're comfortable with presenting it to you. Do you have any questions about it?
No, it's the same one that we signed here a few months ago, basically. Just a little amendment to it.
Okay,
So
yeah, I
I
mean,
don't have any
it's
problems.
not gonna change the budget or anything like that.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept the amendment to the gym plan contract as presented.
We have,
Authorized signature.
we have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Nancy?
So Commissioners, we had Tori test out our new form.
I see that.
We submitted it, it hasn't made all the proper things yet, the staff was out for training last week, but, anyway, this grant was brought to my attention, close to a year ago, so I've been watching for when it was gonna be released again. I believe Tori watched the webinar on it as well, so he has some requests to apply for this grant, which does not have any match, so. Tori, if you wanna add anything to that?
I think the biggest thing is, part of this grant is deciding what we're gonna do with said money that we're applying for. So we have to get the projects in line. That's kind of the holdup, is trying to get these projects figured out as far as what we wanna do and how we move forward. I think we need to figure out what we can do.
Under this grant, is it 500,000?
Potentially.
Is the asking, okay. I read through there's so many
Yeah,
different.
It's based on, it's flexible based on how much they award or whatever. That's the biggest reason why we need to figure out what projects we want to do, what kind of, finances are tied to those projects and how we want to do that. Ultimately, this is to better, what ultimately is my office, I guess, because we're the only ones that do forensic science. So that's what this is tailored to, is coroner's offices, ME offices, things like that. And it's to better those offices, efficiency, whatever we can do. And so the idea is to try and complete a project that would house equipment, facelift of the office, maybe some professional signage, things like that. In order to look into the costs associated with those, we have to come before you guys.
Okay. Well, I talked with Dan yesterday. I had a meeting with him because you talked about expanding out there. And his suggestion was not to expand there.
Okay.
He says there's no reason to keep putting money into a pole barn, that the poles are gonna wear out, and he says that whole deal is leaning right now, that the back half of the building is secure, but the front half is just got a bolt through a.
And are we talking about are we talking about the office and the
whole thing's
sheds? Or
the whole thing's a pole barn. They just finished the inside of one. And the problem is they literally took a pole barn and did what we don't allow contractors to do, and they just
I guess
finished.
I'm
Yeah,
asking, what are we talking about? The sheds, or are we talking about the office?
The actual office is the shed. It's just they finished and put a facade on the front. That's it. They didn't actually do anything else to it. And that's the problem, that they should have never done it in the first place.
Okay.
It's one of those just, okay, we
So I
got
guess
it.
my
We used it
question-
is what we got. The big thing is if you're working on grants like this, the big thing too is the securing of, if they're awarding, typically the people that are gonna go through these grants are gonna be looking for the priority of what you're doing, if these funds are being used for specific projects that would otherwise not be able to be accomplished, or a best contribution to. So if they're talking about facilities grants, they're gonna talk about like facilities equipment, things that cold storage rooms, they're gonna talk about things that you normally probably wouldn't do, because most grant writers, or grant awardees, when they're reviewing that, you're going to want to look and see, okay, what are you doing here that's not just, hey, we had a list of all this nicety and we want you to do this. They're going to want to look and see. I don't have it in front of me. I was just trying to look and see exactly, because typically they have like some high points in the language, and I was looking through to see if I could find it on this one. But like, I would imagine the forensic sciences part, equipment, machinery, things that are typically very expensive to buy, that could only be bought with a grant, and would normally not ever be accomplished because you just don't have the money to do that. I don't know if that's toxicology equipment. I don't know if that's x-ray stuff. I don't know if that's...
Well, and part of that could be cooler storage, trailers, whatever, and that's kind of what we were looking at. But I guess the biggest thing is, ultimately, we were looking to use this grant to kind of offset the cost of growing this office as we expand and as we, get the things that we need to do the day-to-day projects, or to possibly take on the things that our county could come into contact with. And
Yeah, they're not going to want you to do, they probably will not do like operational stuff, but they would buy capital project stuff, is my bet.
Right.
Nancy, did you see that in there? I'm looking right quick, I'm reading as fast as I can, but typically they'll have a line that'll be like, ongoing expenses are excluded. They're not going to let you,
Well, and it specifically said like expansion,
Yeah, so
like
they're going
that,
to talk
you know,
about like those capital, that's what I'm saying, it's like the capital stuff. The big thing is writing how it's going to benefit your office is probably going to be a big portion of how they're going to
Well, I
award.
believe that's within the scope of.
Well, yeah,
of
so
what
you're
we
going to have
do
to write
and
up
how
and
we wanna-
and say like, hey, this project X is what we did.
Right.
And this project this is why this project is critical, and, blah, blah. And I'm trying to find out, discuss how funding under this initiative will help to improve the quality and/or and/or timelessness of services, demonstrate the soundness of the approach to improve forensic services, specifically outline the impact a proposed project will have on laboratory operations and/or forensic science discipline. So, if I was the granting reviewer, I would be looking at specifically the impact proposed project will have on laboratory operations and forensic science discipline. So anything that's specifically dealing with that. I'm not necessarily looking at field operations. I'm not necessarily looking at like how you collect in the field. I'm looking at the laboratory science part of it.
Sure. I
So-
guess you would have to articulate the fact of how we do things in the field directly affects the
Well,
science portion of
the,
it.
the main thing is the laboratory operations. They're talking about more so of hey, right now, I have to take sample A, and I have to put sample A in a evidence baggie or however I collect it, and it's going to have to go to somewhere off in the middle of nowhere. And it's going to take me 3 to 6 weeks to get this piece of information or this piece of whatever back.
Sure.
I want to be able to do X, and that means instead of doing that, we're buying doohickey piece of equipment that's going to be here that we can do it here. Or it allows us to do it here. Because the operations, laboratory operations and forensic science discipline, if I'm reading that, I would take it, it's not necessarily about, it's when you're doing all of your all of your study or review. Like when you have your actual evidence that you're trying to gain stuff on. Discuss the feasibility of proposed project, include the likelihood of completion in the proposed period of time, demonstrate awareness, potential pitfalls, mitigation strategy, shortfalls, discuss soundness of approach, reduce or eliminate see, so there you go. So talking about backlog, talking about medicological death investigators eliminate the backlog to increase capacity. So they're not talking about going and buying, hazmat suits or new trailers or new whatever. They're talking about, they specifically want science stuff in the lab. So
And so would a cooler fit into that?
it could to keep stuff colder.
Right.
You could, but I would say that they're probably going to even put more weighted stuff on toxicology.
Sure.
Anything you can do to speed up results.
Sure.
So
Well, and I think the biggest portion of this is to try and not, jump to what their interpretation is and see if we fit in those parameters to apply for. But
well, I mean that's the parameter right. I mean, I just read it out of the grant right there. That's
Right.
And that's what I'm saying is right there. Their main bullet points is discuss the soundness of the approach to reduce or eliminate backlog. Describe the soundness of the approach to train and employ forensic personnel and metallurgical death investigators to eliminate the backlog and increase capacity. Demonstrate innovation and creativity in the approach to reducing or eliminating backlog and increasing capacity.
Well, and then further down, it says the opioid, how does this address opioid and synthetic drug-related challenges?
See, so that's what I'm saying is they're going to look really heavily on your methodology and your in the lab science. I mean, because if you were to take pictures right now and send them pictures of your lab, you don't
lack thereof.
exactly. So everything that you're doing is slow because you have to send it out. Nothing stays here, right?
Right.
So that's the whole thing is if you have $500,000 and they're saying, hey, we got 500 grand for you, and you can go in and you can set up
That's our forensics.
this stuff that stays here.
Sure.
Now, the whole thing in conjunction with ISU, especially where you can start doing some of that stuff, your lab stuff, hey, we can buy a piece of equipment and we have, and they're talking about creativity, the innovation and creativity in the approach to reducing or eliminating backlog for increasing capacity. So I'm talking, hey, I got 500 grand here, guys, and I want to buy a mass spectrometer, or I want to buy a this, and we actually have a course that has faculty and staff that can run it. If you buy us this piece of equipment, we no longer have to send anything off, or we can do, however you do that, then you have an internal lab that you're creating. And not only are you doing this, you're also creating a teaching component, you're doing that, you're doing whatever. You just hit all three of those bullets then that are in your, that's their main, what they're looking for in this grant. That's the section that, as I looked through this, that if you can fit it into these three parameters, that's where you're going to get your money. And if you can do something like, that's what I'm saying, they're looking for the science part of it. They want the how to train, how to teach, how to make it faster, more efficient, more effective here. Yeah, I mean, I would be looking at all of those services that you send off. What can you bring in-house if you had the money to do it?
Right.
I mean, seriously, that's it. Because then what you're also looking at is if they have money for some of that stuff. Do you have somebody then that's like a lab tech?
Right. Well, and again, that, I guess that would be a bigger conversation as to where we're gonna facilitate that.
Well,
Because if we're talking about our space being in a pole barn, what is the ultimate goal in the future? How do we expand in a pole barn? And what would you gentlemen like us to do?
Well,
that's a question. I don't think we've come to a conclusion yet. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it was, the coroner's office was somebody's garage.
Sure.
Then we went to, down here, and then we moved you out there. The coroner was basically by himself
Right.
most of the time, and it was a part-time job, and we increased the wages on that. So I think that we need to talk about what is the responsibility of the coroner, what, I mean, and what direction we want to go as a county, or what can we afford?
Right.
I mean, you come in and already this year, and we've increased your budget $40,000.
Sure.
Well, we can't keep doing it. I'm just plain and simple.
Right.
There's not the monies to do it, so I think it's a bigger conversation than with this. I don't mind you applying for it. If you apply for it, you get the money, we can either turn it down or we can accept it. You're just the one that'll end up putting the work forth
Yeah.
to meet it. And then we need to have that discussion between your office and the commissioners and say, okay, what can this county afford, and what is your job, and what is expected?
Well, and I think that that's a conversation we need to have sooner than later, since we're going into a budget season.
You're here
because we
this
need to-
afternoon.
Right, but we need to figure that out so that we can, do these things to try and offset the cost of growing and evolution. Because I agree with you, there are things that we are statutorily obligated to do, but I don't believe that we can do. And the things that we are doing, we're treading water. So we need to figure out a way to evolve
Well-
that is sustainably.
In 3 years, we've come a long ways.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And like I say, it all comes down to funds.
Okay.
So we'll have that conversation
Yeah.
right after lunch, I think.
Yeah.
Well, as I read through it, I kind of agree with Terrell. I think it's more laboratory oriented versus building a covering for something.
Sure.
So I would agree, if you want to apply for it, let's do it. And
Well, and that's
then we
kind of
just
where
begin
we're
the
at, is I
conversation this
understand that
afternoon.
there's, that's what we're looking for. I understand the scope of it, but there's an opportunity there, and I figure if we can do that, we can put in the time that offsets the cost of what we would have to put forth to be able to gain something like that. So that's the idea.
Just be straightforward with how you present it. There's obligations and consequences for falsification.
Well, and like I said, I really think as I read through this of who the office is, I'm also searching who the office is, and I'm trying to find out, like, anybody who sat on their board. I'm pretty sure this is what they're talking about, is laboratory science. And that's
Well,
the main
and
thing.
if it's applicable to us, then we'll do it.
Yeah.
If it's not, then we won't. It's
Yeah.
not, I mean, that's pretty straightforward. We just want to make sure that we can go out and put forth what we need to even see if we're applicable, but we can't do that without sitting in front of
This conversation.
So,
No, I think there's things that you could definitely put in for that I think they would fund in a heartbeat if you put in for it. I think there's things there that if, especially in the size that we are with what we don't have, if you put in for, especially, like it says in there, the equipment to facilitate, to reduce the backlog and the dependency on others for certain pieces of equipment and items, I think they'd pay for it in a heartbeat.
But that's where I'll just tell you that don't make commitments for people or buildings or anything else that we haven't already discussed, because we had an opportunity yesterday that we was told, well, this doesn't work because I've talked to the state and you guys need to give me 2 more people. That's not the way it works.
We will try our best.
So a motion on this, or?
Yeah, I'm good. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve application for the, what's the name of the grant? What was it?
Yep.
That grant. Paul Coverdale Forensic Science Improvement Grant. There we go.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
All right. Juvenile probation. (9:45) is when they're scheduled, so we'll go ahead and look at some of these other things we have on our schedule. 9:45.
Sheriff's Office.
Crystal. That's Shanda. She isn't here.
Sean, should I go to grab her?
Do it in an HR appropriate way.
Please.
Ryan's here.
All right. Shanda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Shannon Crystal, Purchasing and Economic Analyst. I do have 2 items before the board today, though I would like to have you guys discuss with Todd before we do number 2, if that's okay.
He isn't here.
Keyword.
Right? We did just call him. He is en route as quick as he can. The first item I have before the board are lease agreements with Bannock for patrol. The first ones I want to do are the Yukons, the 22 Yukons. There's 6 of them. These have all been through the budget process for fiscal year 22 and approved through there with all things vehicle related, right? They did take quite a while to get here. They have arrived at the aftermarket dealership and they have most everything installed on them. We are waiting for kick plates on those Yukons is the one thing that's holding them up from being delivered. But those ones are ready for signature upon approval of the board.
And how many?
So there's 6 Yukons.
Okay.
Those are the ones that I was talking about there. There are 2 more that I have a request before the board today. If we want to move to those 2, then we do have a request for 2 2023 Chevy Traverses. The sheriff did come about 6 weeks ago to talk with the board about the 5 total units for fiscal year 23 and the timetables and when we had to get those ordering and the ordering banks that were so tight that there was an exception made in this request. The 3 Tahoes are already at the aftermarket dealership. Those 3 Tahoes, 1 will be used as a detective unit and 2 will be in patrol. On the Yukons, all 6 will be in patrol. For the Traverses on this, both of these will be detective units once they arrive, but there haven't even been built or anything like that yet. But these should be the last of the vehicles that are coming. There was also the van, the transport van that came before the board last week. That was in the 22 request.
I just can't believe that we okayed 9 new vehicles for the sheriff's office. I can't remember doing that, honestly. That's a lot of vehicles all in 1 year.
But we haven't gotten,
Right? It is a slow roll for sure.
we're a little behind on some of these.
Yes.
Some of these are going forward too, so.
Well, and I hate to say it, the Durangos keep blowing motors, so let's,
Well, the other part is the sheriff negotiated and got the Yukons for the same price as a Tahoe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep. When Chevy canceled because we initially had ordered the 6 Tahoes. When Chevy had canceled those on us and they had to switch to Yukons, the sheriff did go to bat for us and go to Bannock and said, fantastic, but this is what we have budgeted for. So they worked it that we could have them for Tahoe prices.
Cool.
Which is fantastic. And the 3 other Tahoes that we got, we're getting at 22 prices, not 23. So they are doing fantastic.
well,
We're
if it's like
just-
any other supply chain stuff in 2024 or 2025 when these vehicles show up.
We're hoping for the first one, the van, should be 98% of the way done, finished. We're hoping to see.
Oh, no, it's that
soon.
1% is that one little microchip that they won't have for another 6 months.
No. We've got all fingers crossed. The sheriff will, upon arrival of those vehicles, right, as they shift down through all of their plan, I don't even know, right? They have, as the new ones come, right, they go frontline, and then the other ones get shifted down. They'll obviously have vehicles available and ready. They're gonna move forward, they're gonna have Bancorp appraise them and let you know kind of what they think that they're worth. And then the sheriff's gonna come before the board and just ask what you would have them do with them.
Before we get rid of some of those, we need to look and see if there's other departments that can use, because if there's some of them that are in decent shape, while they might have some high mileage and some road mileage, but they, I mean, if they're decent, you can use
still
them.
drive around town.
There's a couple of them that if we can look at them.
Yep. There's already been expressed interest by the maintenance department in their current transport van. So once that arrives, there is interest in that one. Dan Kendall's already discussed with the sheriff and expressed his interest in that one if it's available.
Instead of buying a $46,000 Yukon for the ambulance district, I mean, if we have some we can use.
All right. Yeah, but as those become available, we'll get them through Road and Bridge to make sure we're not keeping any that have caused us problems in the past. And,
Okay.
but yeah, so that will come as they arrive.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we sign the leases for the sheriff's vehicles as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Might as well have everybody come on up.
Here you go. There's the main thing.
Winner, winner, chicken
That's
dinner.
what I was looking for. It's not.
We got empty chairs. So this is a combination one, huh? You tag teaming us on this one?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
All right, go ahead.
So, Todd Bonger with Bannock County Juvenile Justice. We're here to review the 2022 Safe Teen Assessment Center Grant Award for the amount of $1,281,164. So, I'm not sure where to start.
No copay.
I hope the board's good. I invited Michelle just simply because she went through this grant award to see the responsibilities of certain items that we're going to need done to comply with the grant. And she found some things that Ryan was going to need to do, the coordination that they'll have to do, and also some RFP items that might need adjusted on Shanda's side. So,
Okay.
wanted to throw that disclaimer out there.
Nope, she's always welcome.
And Ryan already took care of the part that we have, so wherever he needs to sign about the training, he's already taken care of going through that, so he'll be able to sign that today. Jason will need to sign, Commission will need to sign, Todd will need to sign. There was a question in there, the grant manual stated that it didn't cover renovations or construction. Matt reached out and they haven't updated their grant manual, so they are doing that now because it does include that.
And I forwarded you the updated one they sent to me this morning, and I
didn't print that new one.
It was just a minute ago when I.
Yeah, but I did print out her email stating that they were going to send that update, so all that clarification has been in there. The only other things were our timeline will be kind of quick because we've got to move people out, demo, do the construction, and then have time to still move people in to start by July 1 of next year.
So is there any heartburn of anybody?
Heartburn?
Yeah. I mean,
We're all gonna need sweatbands.
Well,
So-
the one thing I have about this is I've looked about, and I've walked around and thought about this. This is about a $350,000 to $400,000 asset of the county that we're contributing to this. This is not that the county is not contributing anything. We're contributing a quarter match to this project. This is one thing that I kind of have an issue with is we have a building. They are renovating, and I watched them sell and buy the one across the street that was built by the same people that revamped this office the last time before we bought it. And we have a $400,000 asset then that we're going to demolish, site prep, and then build on. So it's not that the county is not contributing anything. And so I really look at this and say,
let me throw in here something. Because I've looked this over and stuff. What would happen if we changed the site?
well, it depends. Is your site bare or is your site got a building on it?
The site is bare.
The site is bare, it would be cheaper.
Other than ongoing maintenance costs.
Yeah, but it would be cheaper if it was a bare site.
Ongoing maintenance
And
is
I
irrelevant.
don't know about the distance away from you, but I'm talking about the corner of Olympus and Fairgrounds right there. Right across from that medical center.
It's bare.
All we do now is have weeds and they taking care of that. We got some grass. that
There's a
we mow.
park in there right now.
I don't know,
Well, what I was getting at is because then, I mean, so you have an asset, we're gonna tear it down. We're gonna have to waive the fees on the county to dump it, because we're going to dump the building, right? We're not salvaging and picking it. Well, we might salvage and pick some of it, but still, then we're gonna waive all the fees through the enterprise fund at the landfill, is what we're expecting to do, which is another $20,000 to $50,000 in dump fees. So if we have an asset that's worth $350 to $400, and we have another 50, let's say it was 350, so we're at 4 right there, plus the cost of the land. Cost of land right now, that piece of property right there is worth probably $200,000. So what I'm saying is we've got a lot of money that we're going to go into that. And if, that's what I was getting at, is if we have a spare piece of ground somewhere, I mean,
I think
that would be my.
I think the only concern with that, and that'd be great, right? If you would save demo costs, it would speed the project up. The only thing I would say is it's not centrally located to our building with the detention center and juvenile probation. Our intake and diversion staff are going to be the ones that are, we're basically moving our intake and diversion unit over there, and would be
well, but that's what I'm saying, is we went through budget yesterday with like the landfill. The landfill, it's an enterprise fund, so everything that they make is based upon the fees and everything that they take in. And you're talking about a whole bunch of material, a whole bunch of work, and we're gonna waive all the fees and scrape it off, and it's not the only, everybody does that. And so as we start looking at that, of all of these different projects around the thing, I'm looking at, everybody's like, well, this is a grant, we're not gonna have to pay anything on this. No, this is a huge amount of money and an asset that the county has to come forward and put up here. And I'm looking at it saying, I'd rather just sell the flipping building and take the money and go buy a piece of ground. It would be cheaper. I mean, really, sell the building for 250 grand and there's a piece in the Iron Triangle that would work that's right down the street. I mean, there's stuff, I think that we're jumping, well, we got this building, let's just go tear it down and get going. Hey, I'm not saying that the building shouldn't be torn down. I'm not in favor of it. But what I'm saying is, we have an asset, we have something, and we're just jumping into, let's just go do this, where I don't know if, hey, let's put it up for sale, sell the building, what we can get out of it. I mean, down right, you guys know where Keller Construction is down there? In the Iron Triangle down by Jim Dandy Brewery? Right down there, there's a whole bunch of vacant lots that they're for sale. And you could probably work something out with the landowner to probably sell you something right there down the street.
I wonder how that would impact the grant in terms of, the grant wasn't to purchase land. If the county could get that pulled off and purchase something.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is I'm just looking at that you're going to lose a bunch of money and you're going to have a bunch of stuff that we're going to go down because we're going to tear down this building. We're going to have to waive the fees. We're going to have to prep the ground. I can guarantee you with as fast as you think you're going to get in there to get that built, you just go ahead and add another 6 weeks on top of it. You're going to have to find something buried in the ground out there that it's an infill lot, and the city of Pocatello, we always run
there's
into.
two more spots in my mind. I'm looking at this, this parking lot right here across the street. You could put it right against the alley, still reserve as much parking as you're gonna have here. Still make that, we still have a lot of our own employees that park in that parking lot. Make it a restricted parking lot for patrons only.
Dan, what was your measurements?
And you could put it right out here or on the other side. You don't have to tear a building down.
It's a 4,400 square foot building is what we drew up, but it was drawn to fit on that lot, so there's some adjustments that could be made.
So looking at that, could you put it in either one of these parking lots over here?
I'm sure we could.
I'm agreeing with you. I mean, I'd rather use a bare spot. We don't have to tear anything down. Let's get some bids going and let's get started.
to tell you the truth, I'd rather sell that building and get rid of it and contribute the funds to the use of the project end, because I mean, it would put you probably ahead of things. I mean, that's what I'm saying is that's a lot of money that we're just gonna, I mean, because then your cost of construction isn't 1.2 million, your cost of construction is 1.6 million. That's the whole thing that we're getting, and at 1.6 million at 4,400 square feet, holy crap, man, we just set the record for expensive square footage. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what you have to factor into. This isn't just a $1.2 million build. This is all aspects of cost, and that's what I'm saying is this isn't necessarily the cheapest and most efficient way to use the money for the county or for this grant. I agree. Let's get this grant. Let's do this, but let's slow down for just 2 seconds and see, is there a better option than just ripping that down?
What kind of modifications will we need to do to the budget? And
Well, I think we'd have
since-
to contact IDJC because we did, see about changing from,
And I think the budget document says we can only do a 5% adjustment or change. So I don't know.
Well, because, I mean, it's, again, got it, grant, this is what we want to do, but just as I look at this, I'm not seeing.
What's your thoughts, Jeff?
Don't know yet. How's that?
Well, this was just something that I've been
Going
thinking
different
of.
locations and stuff. I do like the iron triangle because it does save us time of tear down and all that.
That's the other thing too that I'm afraid of, is
Where's the iron triangle?
just down the street on
Directly behind where the.
other side of
Landers
Lander.
are.
Just go all the way down Lander to where you turn to go under the
It's about a block away further than where this place is.
like, where the street kicks under to go under the underpass? That whole piece of property right there, Keller is there, there's this big, there's a dentist office at one point, there's a bunch of space that's open down there that they have lots, they have parking lots already established, they have like their little walking lights that are around, all this stuff. I mean, it's a professional environment that's down there, it's not like it's a, that's what it was designed for, was for office type buildings and stuff like that, and I know the guy that actually owns it. And so,
I think if we can keep, so that location, as long as we're able to keep our staff closer together, that's an important priority as well.
Yeah, it's like 3 blocks away.
it's close, it's just as close.
Mm,
It's probably just as close in proximity to our building as the East Landers.
So-
That's why I say it's probably just a block.
if you can see
difference.
this on my little itty bitty screen, this is the iron triangle right here. And that's the courthouse, and there's the Lander building right there. It's on Lander.
So preferable.
It's the
So
same, it's the same road.
That spot would be better than up on Olympus,
Yeah.
for sure.
But-
Because there's there's gonna be law enforcement that'll bring kids in for screening and then need to take them to detention, so you wanna have.
Yeah.
Close.
Well, that was
And
my
they'll still-
question. I
they'll
didn't know
still
how
need
close you had to be.
Involved
It
in
was
the
just
courts and things like that as well.
a spot I've driven by the last few weeks quite a few times.
Well, I just,
We could do something better with that.
Do you have an estimate on the demolition cost, Ben?
72.
72, just to tear it down and haul it off. Like Carol said, you could run into other.
is that 72 including wiping fees, dump fees, or was that
Yeah.
with dump fees?
Yeah, like wiping dump fees.
So if you didn't wipe the dump fees, you'd be over 100 grand.
And we got, the interesting thing at the fairgrounds, even though it's farther away, we'll be dealing with a county building permit instead of a city.
You just made Dan's day.
Yeah, I mean, that's something to think about.
That location's really not feasible, though.
Right over here, though, it's the same thing, right? Is this county, or is that city? Is
No,
that
he's
city?
talking about, right.
Okay, I was trying.
Yeah, that's not really
Well,
feasible.
if
for
you
these
could
guys.
buy the
It's too
land
far away.
cheaper than
That's what
it
I'm
would be
saying.
to
If you
demolish and
wasn't
haul away,
distance, that would be the best.
that would be my
Sure.
preference. But if it's the same, then
So now we're back to if we change the scope of the project and Stace here, can we
Well, but
try and put him on the spot and see if that's, well.
your main
because-
scope of the project, though, is not going to change. Your scope of the project is still the same building,
But-
same everything.
Well,
But the budget is set.
the budget's set, and when we submitted a grant, and so they approved us demoing a building and all that, so.
So if we change that.
We would probably have to do a grant change request on that. and-
Because you
and
can
talk
only
with-
change it 5%.
Yeah, I know.
So that's
That
going
was
to
my
change.
point. If your purchase price is equal to your demo price, shouldn't be that big of a deal. But if there's a big discrepancy, then we'd probably have some issues there. Stacy, any thoughts?
This is so far out of my pay grade.
Well, I've driven by that building a couple times in the last week, and as I look at that and just understanding timelines and what we're looking at and getting that building tore out and having issues and problems and just understanding weather constraints and problems and issues in as many buildings as I've ripped out and remodeled in downtown Pocatello, I have never had one where we haven't had some crazy something going on that's taken us a while. And that's just, you know, and then the discussion yesterday with landfill and fees and all this other stuff, I mean, we got to get better at not just using the landfill of, hey, just don't make them pay any money, you know.
The thought process is good, and it might fit better with the timeline. The problem is going to be, this should have been talked about sooner,
Yes.
but because we might have to do the budget revision, that's all, is we just need to
And I
make
don't
sure
know what
that
they
they're.
would approve or what they won't approve either.
Yeah, I mean, it might be as
It
easy
was
as.
talked about when you originally come to us, so Carol had these same questions at that time.
So what we need to do, if that's what the board wants to do, is we probably just need to put together a different budget, make sure they're going to approve that, and be fine with the change in how we want to do everything. And then if so, it's a no-brainer. I mean, the dollar amount might stay the same.
Yeah. We can, and find out if it's even available, because that's the one thing too, is there might be some property like that that looks vacant, but we might already have other people that are building things, and then we're back to just tear the flipping building down and go back and do it. But
Well, I still say right here across the street.
if you put it in the parking lot, you have enough space that you can do it.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the parking lot at the courthouse?
Across the street.
At the assessor's
The
office.
annex.
So if they sign off on the grant, then
Put the building right
can
against
we
the alley.
work these details
building needs
out
to be bigger.
and then
I already
just
measured it.
submit? I mean,
Yeah,
don't we
that's
have
enough,
30 days?
Really?
If
Yeah.
we don't start work
Yeah.
within 30 or
Then you gotta
60
wait.
days, then we had to talk to
It's a
them.
full-size lot.
But if they sign off on the grant, can we then just
On the
go
right side or the
before
left side?
Right side is where it
the
is.
state and say,
So the side next
we've
to
changed
Center
plans,
Street,
can we do this? And then it'll be a yes or no.
I think you could put it right there against the alley.
I don't
against the street.
know. I don't have the answer to that. I'd have to call and
Right in there. You put that parking lot.
find out.
Bring it up
Yes.
to
Do
standard.
you want me to step out and call Holly?
Make
Well,
sure
or-
the staff with parking.
So it says commencement must begin within
4,800
60
square foot
days.
building.
If not,
When does the grant award have to be signed by? Does it give us?
I think it's
I
the
would do it there.
17th,
Do we have,
so Friday.
does that take away too much parking though?
Well, that's, even if you go this way.
I mean, we could put it,
You could
that's,
put it that
yeah.
way. And then you'd have all the front.
Just so you know, Aldrin, I just put it in the parking lot. That's a 4,800 square foot footprint. So, I mean,
So,
You gotta, well,
so there's city requirements are a little funky.
standoff zoning, yep, got it. We might just add on to that building, and then you wouldn't have to do it, then you just tear the add-on off. The add-on might just be a single doorway.
It's a breezeway.
It's a breezeway. I love that rule of the city. We do that a lot. I mean, seriously, there's some ways. You have untouched, there's nothing there, it's just a parking lot. I mean, you still.
We
got
own the
problem.
ground.
We own it, we have it. I mean, you could go start on it as fast as you file a permit. And easements and setbacks can be requested because of what's there.
I didn't think that was big enough. That was mine.
I mean, you see my little triangle that I put down there? That's a 4,800 square foot triangle. That's bigger than what you're putting over, and that's just,
is there parking spaces? for-
yeah, you'd play with the building, and basically what you do is you just make it to where anything pulling in there is parking only for that building, and you'd probably have the same amount of, this parking lot right here is the exact same size as your Lander building. They're both as 2 city lots is what they are.
Okay, so I just got Stacy's opinion, which is just an opinion, and he's not going to be held to anything. But if you would like to approve the project for signature and then have Todd go out and get a hold of Holly, let her know what you're thinking, that you want to change the plan a little bit, see if she sees a problem with the budget being readjusted, and then
You
To
can
tell you,
move forward
to
that
tell you
way.
the truth, a parking lot option would save a lot of money because your remodel costs just drop through the floor immediately. You just became 100 and,
So what, that's by the annex then?
yeah, it's right across the street. the
Across
annex.
the street right here.
It's a bare parking lot, and sooner or later, the annex building is gonna go away. So the annex building, to tell you the truth, is on its last leg as well. So in the next 5 to 10 years, the county's probably gonna scrape it. I mean, Dan came up with, what, a $2 million rebuild for that building? Yeah, tear it down.
But I agree, and that was my thoughts also, is that we ought to approve the project, and then with the stipulation that we go back and look at a different location. And if that's approved, then we're good. If not, then we'll have to move forward with the location that we're
Yep.
in. I mean, I don't want to throw it away
Yep.
because
Well,
of
that
this
was my
discussion.
thoughts, is I thought it was a pretty good deal to get a 100-year-old building that needs remodeled, or, you know, I'm saying, like, replaced with a brand-new building without any funds really leaving the, but I guess,
What the consequences are is we move 3 other offices out of there and we find space for them. I mean, there's always
Well, and it's
challenges.
even though it's a
that happen
100-year-old
that-
building, it is still an asset to the county. That's the whole problem, is it still has a value assigned to it. And watching these buildings, those office buildings right now, that's kind of the hot thing. There's nowhere for people to have offices, so people are going in there buying them. Yeah, they'll go in, they'll buy them, they'll gut them, they'll remodel them, they'll make them all polished up and pretty, and they'll rent them out and lease them at $35 a foot and make a killing off of them. We could sell that building probably pretty quick if we wanted to. And that's what I'm saying, is it's not just if it was a condemned building that was completely worthless, that was falling down and we had to go, let's go. But it's not to that point
so let me
yet.
get this straight. So the plan would be to sign the award letter, contact the Department of Juvenile Corrections, see if we can make a change to the grant as to the location and the demo.
Say, we might just be building.
And if they
these-
say, no, you can't do that, then we're back to Plan 1.
No, we'll have to go in and just, then we would be losing and contributing. We'd be setting a record for the cost per square foot of footage of something, is what we really didn't want to do, but we just went to $385 a foot now, if we use that building.
We'll have to expedite the process and have as many meetings as possible right up front,
Well.
because construction needs to be done
If
no
they'll,
later than May 30th.
if
so
they'll
we can have-
agree to across the street, we just saved 2 months.
Construction needs to be done by May
Construction.
30 for that grant?
June 30.
No, we have to have it, grant ends June 30. So we've got to have everything done by May 30, so that we've got 30 days to wrap everything else up.
Who's
Because
who's
we've
gonna
got
do
to
it?
submit final costs, we've got to get the grant paperwork done within that last, and I'm only saying May 30 to give us 15 days
Well, and that's what I
to be
say.
late, to then give us 15 days.
Rather than tearing down,
to get
if we could do it
everything else.
across here, we could meet our timeline a whole lot better.
What's drawn up is basically just a big house. It's a very simple design. If this bid process goes smooth and we can get a contractor on board, I think we're okay.
We have any hiccups though, and there's no way.
I have a call into Morton Builders to see
There
if
you
we
go.
can meet with Morton and have them help us with this project, so.
You can't do that, Jeff, outside of a meeting.
They'd have to bid on it.
Well, the question is, can they do something like
You
this?
can't contact them like that.
Okay.
They could bid on it. They could bid
Yeah.
their thing on it. We can invite them to bid on it.
That could exclude them from the bid process.
Okay.
Okay, we've talked about it. I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the grant application as presented.
And, do you want,
With a exclusion, or how do I want to state this?
that will present a different
We'll
option
present options
of location?
for locations, for availability,
To explore other options.
to explore other options of availability for locations.
Okay, we have a motion?
Yep, there you go.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, clear as mud,
That's what they were gonna do on the Lander building.
but we honestly appreciate everybody's hard work. I mean, it is a whole lot bigger than just putting something on paper and submitting it, and we realize that. And so we thank you. But we also want it to be in the right place and do the right thing. All right. Now you're up.
I'm gonna walk out with Dan for just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, just bring it to my office, I'll sign it.
Okay.
I'll be around
Will
this
you just
afternoon.
give me a holler?
All right.
Do you have my cell phone?
I'm gonna get to my number 2. Excellent. So now I have before the board's review, given the timetable, right, is super tight, we do want to go out for architectural services. So that's what I have before the board today, is that request for architectural services. It does mention in here our tight time frame as well. We anticipate and request that their drawings will be done and prepared. Right, so we're stacking them on top of each other. As we award this one and get their work done, we're going to go out to bid for construction on the project itself. We're going to align that this work will be complete, the architectural work will be complete at the pre-bid meeting, that then they can be issued as an addendum, and so then they'll have architectural drawings at the pre-bid meeting and know exactly what we're looking for as they put in their bids for the project, is how we've stacked them on top of each other. If there are any questions or concerns.
My only concern is what we just talked about. We have to know the location basically before.
So on architectural services, I disagree that we wouldn't need to know a location. We're looking for qualifications. Are you qualified to do the work we need you to do? We are building a building. The building is not going to change. Some of the aspects of the building will change. But
Maybe.
for this piece.
According to what Dan said, I mean, there could be some adjustments, he said, so that's.
Right, yeah.
That's all I,
But as far as qualifications go, we're looking if you are able to do the project we need you to do. These are, as we talked about, saving location and saving time, doing the procurement process the way we need to do it is, if we don't have to demo, is going to hold the project up. So before we could, right? So before we could do them concurrently, and we could be demoing the project while we're bidding out the rest of the services. If we don't have to do that piece, we're still not going to be able to grab the land until we have a contractor on board. We can't have a contractor on board till we have an architectural drawing done and complete. Even at that, we went as tight as we felt we could go, and I think I'm giving them 2 weeks from the time that we award it. We'll award it on the 5th of July. And then that we anticipate going out, I think we give them not a full 3 weeks to that next bid meeting.
I want to call Dan in and just ask his opinion.
I agree with Shanda. The scope is going to change just minorly, whether we.
Because it's about setbacks or.
Yeah, which location we're at. The square box that we're going to build is going to be a square box over here or a square box over there. And it's just, if it's.
What if the lot size is smaller though?
Still, it's the same qualifications. Same person's going to be able to come in and build it.
Right.
So this process can go, it's the architecture. We're only looking at qualifications of the architect.
To do what we need them to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this has nothing to do with any scope of work yet.
Okay, that's, I guess that's misunderstanding. I was thinking this was part of the scope of the work, and until we decided which location, I thought. But if we're just making sure that somebody is qualified, then that's a different standard that I was on a different page.
Do we need to worry though about the date that says the awarded grant requires construction to be completed by June 30? Do we need to worry about that because we actually need it to be done sooner than that?
It does need to be done sooner.
So I can adjust that. I put that in there just to express urgency in the project and why we were giving them there. As far as construction being complete matters little. It's just that time frame of how and why we're only giving you 3 weeks to do the services.
Well, urgency, why don't you put May 31, and that would be even more urgent?
Sure.
Because that's kind of when we do need to have construction done. It's on, under number 2.1, under, that's what the.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Nope, sorry, I was there and then it's.
But I can't tell you how many paragraphs this would read.
Because there's July, but,
Or that.
there we go,
Yeah.
thank you. Change that
So,
to May.
you're okay with what we just discussed? We get an engineer that is qualified and go out for this
Yep.
in the process right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Like I said, I was on a different page, so.
But I could make that minor adjustment, but expressed additional urgency of how and why we need this project done now, with making that adjustment.
That's full disclosure to me. I mean, this is our timeline. We gotta have it.
I'm good with this.
Okay.
RFQ.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we accept the RFQ proposal and authorize posting.
So I do have two. One, the signature page that goes with the RFQ. I have one that doesn't have draft, so if you want to approve that. And then we do have the notice of request to go in the newspaper as well.
You want these back?
Oh, they can just come with the
Just come in the
packet.
pile?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna
Oh,
vote. I made the motion to authorize the RFQ and posting of the RFQ.
all right. We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're urgent, or just going, come on. Okay. Emma?
Emma Iamco, I'm Public Information Officer, seeking signature for contracts with Affinity and East Idaho News to promote the Independence Day celebration. Both contracts are $600 for a total of $1,200, and we'll run ads for 2 weeks prior to the event, and will come out of the Event Center's Independence Day Fund that you all discussed last week.
So East Idaho News. I've never looked at.
That's a good one.
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah, they do, they have better traffic than Idaho State Journal.
Okay. 'Cause
They're all
I've,
online, they're great.
are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Like I said, I've never, ever looked at it and going, okay, who is this?
Yeah.
That's a good choice.
Okay.
And Affinity, that's just the in-screen to the restaurants and stuff?
And they actually gave us they gave us a few extra screens in Blackfoot for no extra charge. So we're gonna try and get the Blackfoot people to come down, since their fireworks celebration is like on Friday or Saturday. So,
Get them here instead of Idaho Falls. Huh?
yeah, exactly.
I don't have any concern. Well, I did, because I had
Was
no
this a line
idea.
item in the budget for this type of stuff, or just the budget as a whole?
It's part
Budget
of,
as a whole for 4th of July.
Yes.
Okay.
You guys, I think, approved.
part of what
last
we
week,
agreed to last week, 125.
Yeah, I know we'd raised it, I just
125.
I didn't remember if they had marketing broken out as a line item or not.
So you notice, as soon as we get okay money, what happens?
Here comes Emma.
We
I know.
just throw all as one cost instead of breaking it out, so that we can see the total
Pennies.
cost of the event is each year.
Perfect.
In yesterday's budget, it was 150 or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, next year they increased it.
yeah. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the advertising request as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 That's just you.
Yeah. To the other
Number
one.
15.
Another one.
No.
This was bad. Emma wanting money again.
Oh, Emma's wanting money? Man.
You didn't give me a budget for this year, so I just have to ask for it every time.
That's a hint.
Get busy selling or get busy dying.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next in, is just letters and signatures?
Do we have the request to shred all documents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that?
That's at the bottom of the
Yeah, memos.
resolution.
And so that's what this one is. A request from Agricultural Extension to shred some documents.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the request to shred documents from the Ag Extension.
A motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have the agreement for meals over at the juvenile detention.
Coming from the jail. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agreement for purchasing of meals for the juvenile detention center.
A motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And next, we have a memorandum of understanding between Bannock County and School District 25.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And this is concerning the building across the way right here.
Yeah. It's just kind of a renewal of what they did last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I verified with Matt, that's, they give us $15,000 and it's a cooperative.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't see a change in what I thought the money was.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the MOU with School District 25 for the juvenile detention center.
A motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next, we have one alcohol beverage permit. What was it? It was Club 91. This is all in the consent agenda, so. Then we have minutes for May 26th, 31st, June 2nd, 3rd, and 6th. Motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes unanimously. And with that being said, we'll be at recess till 11:15.